Coming in here to see Dennis Friel today. Some of his great artwork, and I guess he's featured in this magazine. And Jesus Christ, Dennis, what kind of picture is that, dude?
No, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. This is the right one. This one's
not
mine.
so revealing.
This one's mine.
Not so revealing. All right, good. Much better. Fish, boats.
So today we're with Art Sapp, and we're honored to have, can I say it? The best fisherman in all of South Florida. I love saying that about you. You know what I mean? It may or may not be true. I know you get real humble about it, but if you're not the best, then I'll be hard pressed to find another one.
There's some really, really great ones out there. You know what's funny about it is, there's so many different styles of a fisherman, and some of them would never compete. And early on, tournaments, Jamie Bunn, I moved in across the street from his parents' house. They're Blue Water Movements, and tournaments, no, I'm not going to fish tournaments, man. I don't measure myself up against that, but I was coming out of a semi-commercial fishing background, and that said, as a kid, my dad and one of his buddies from down there at Carl's Bait and Tackle, Billy Curtis, who was the second owner, they tournament fished, and I was with him as a kid, and mostly the dead bait stuff up there, meat fish dead bait stuff in the summertime up there around Fort Pierce, and I loved it as a kid. But it wasn't tournament fishing to me; that's what they were doing, and I was just there, and I fell out of it, and what I'm going with here is that there are so many commercial fishermen that manage to make a living catching fish and selling fish, and a good living. Those guys that are successful at that level entirely can pay their entire mortgage and keep their family afloat. Those are the great fishermen. Yeah. The competitive fishing thing, to win at consistently, you're obviously a very good fisherman, but now it's how I make my living entirely. But I separate those two, and we're doing it for fun, even though it is how we make a living when you're doing it competitively. But it's different to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have there's this saying, Yarmir Yager for some reason is making a lot of noise. I can hear his head.
I move around a lot.
Bang, 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 bang.
That's move around a lot.
So, I mean, we always quote one of my favorite artists of all time is Chuck Close, and we always quote him on this show. He's got that saying that says inspirations for amateurs. The rest of us wake up early every morning, get to the studio, and we get to work.
Grind.
Grind, exactly. Yeah. Meaning that, I'm a professional artist. If I sat around floofy waiting for inspiration every day, my family would not eat. You know what I mean? And It's the same thing with those guys you're talking about, that the everyday fishermen, that they have to catch fish and make their customers happy to keep food on the table. And, you don't have a choice, man. If the bite's off, you still got to be out there. You got to try hard. You got to find a way.
Yep. And that's the same deal with the charter thing. And I've been doing it, and I dearly love it. I love taking people fishing. I've had the good fortune of having only one less than positive customer over the last 9 years of charter fishing.
I think that's his problem.
Alcohol, excessive use of alcohol with a kid on the boat, and it just went sideways. But otherwise, it's so fun showing people cool things, and those days where they're not biting, and you're doing anything you can just to show them something really cool, man. That's tough. I've never experienced stress like that. Not tournament fishing, not anywhere else. Mm-hmm. You don't know what the financial means of the people that you've got on the boat really are, and I'm expensive. I mean, my boat's expensive. I've got to be to make a living. So you really want to make sure that they're getting their money's worth on it. That stress is intense.
I think, you have such, call it a resume of success, especially on the tournament level, that I could see that about you, because you're also a very humble individual. That's what we are, you know what I mean? And I think that's one of my favorite things about you is your attitude when it comes to this profession. You have a very realistic approach about things, and but I could see that in a tournament, you being more stressed out on a charter that isn't catching fish than you would be in a tournament, because you have such a great successful resume as a tournament fisherman that occasionally you're gonna have to be like, well, you win some, you lose some. Right?
God, I hate that.
No. But seriously, in comparison to someone that's not catching fish on a charter, like, man, I really want them to catch a fish. You're going to be thinking about that other person more than yourself, But I don't know. I know you're very competitive, so don't take what I said the wrong way.
No. Not at all. But bombing in a tournament is devastating, and and it's become bombing in the tournament. 5th place or worse is absolute failure and devastating. But it has become such a drive because it's harder to do the work. When I was younger, having a business outside of fishing and I mean, you'd go 24 hours between doing your daytime job, which was early and late and tough back then, to bait fishing all night long and go right back into the job the next day. Mm-hmm. It shocked me how well I could go for 4 days with maybe an hour or two crashed on the side of the road here and there.
Yeah.
You know, during the day, you didn't sleep at night. Can't do it anymore.
45 is different.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But you do poorly in a tournament and it stokes that fire again. And I don't care what it takes. You're going to put forth the effort. And a big portion of it is putting forth the effort. It doesn't matter the cost, be it financial or sweat equity. Mm-hmm. It takes a great deal of effort. And many of the consistent tournament fishermen, they've got the skill set, but their work ethic is second to none.
Yeah.
And that's
everything.
Yeah.
There really is.
It is.
I mean,
Truly
I always compare, because it's just my best way of understanding all this or making sense of it all, is I always compare, being an artist and being a fisherman is very similar because fishing is an art. We've said this on the show, many times before.
Absolutely.
And work ethic has a lot to do with art. It really does, because you can be the most talented individual in the world, but if you're not willing to roll up your sleeves and put in the time, it ain't going to be worth.
If you're not producing art, you're not getting
exactly.
anything.
If you're not producing, you're not producing. And oftentimes, there have been, in my younger years, all-nighters, and you do whatever it takes at all costs to get it done and make it look as best. And that does get a little harder as you get a little older. But there are times when you have these wins that you experience like a high beyond belief. You're like, yeah, that's why I do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the nice thing about the darkness, it's quiet. You can absolutely get a lot accomplished and a lot of thought.
Yep.
In the dark when nobody's trying to get in your head. And, much of that, especially after a poor performance where I will go goggle eye fishing and you run each scenario through your head. And it's all decisions. And these are the decisions where I went wrong. Tournament success, the work and everything is extremely important, like I said earlier. But then during the day, it's all decision based. Mm-hmm. When I first, in 2001, when I first got talked into tournament fishing, thank you, Jamie Bunn, I knew I was a very successful fisherman prior to that. We go fishing, we catch fish. That's just what we do. And I loved it. And then I fished my first tournament, Lauderdale Billfish, and we had the bites and couldn't keep a hook in a fish. And I didn't understand that. And then we went into that first summer season, and we got a second place in one of Jamie's tournaments, and we won a ladies, but then we were terrible in others. And even I'm pretty sure we got disqualified in the first rodeo we ever fished for bait fishing prior to lines in. And I can't remember the guy's name, Lightning Leo. I do remember his
Lightning
name.
Leo?
Lightning Leo. He sees us catching Speedos at the can before lines in. Well, they're not a student of tournament fishing at that point. There was a rule in there, no bait fishing before lines in. And the guy's yelling over the radio, "Hey, native son, you're disqualified for the day. You're bait fishing." What is this guy talking about? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Not disqualified. Well, Lightning Leo was right. Now, he's an ass. Don't get me wrong. I have zero good feelings towards that guy.
Usually guys that will call you in like that without talking to you first.
Call me on the phone and say, hey.
Yeah.
Or find somebody that knows me to call me on the phone.
Give you a heads up.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you're not allowed to be doing that. And
Disqualify
if you flick
me.
him off, then he can call you in.
Right.
That's
Well, disqualify me, fine.
Right.
But not publicly over the radio like that, for one. And my understanding is he was a talented charter fisherman back then, so I don't want to take anything away from his abilities there. His personality, he was an asshole. I don't know if he's still alive. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't hurt my feelings if he wasn't. But
he's not connected by water.
It wasn't just that one experience, if you're wondering why I have such ill will. But that was one of the worst of them. So I think that was the moment where I realized, wait a minute, if I'm going to do this, I've got to become a student of this. Mm-hmm. World's worst student. I sucked at school. But I pick a tournament, a date, anything. I pretty well have memorized what has happened almost from 1998 through now in any of the local events. Mm-hmm. And I studied it to the point where I'm pretty sure I know where they were when they won the tournament, or I know for a fact where I was, what the conditions were like. And
You have like a photographic memory when it comes to stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We were sitting talking to a dude the other day. He was talking about the what do you call it? A 98-pound wahoo that Rebound caught in to win that KDW. Timeout, Cap. Oh, it was at the fuel dock the other day. Fish weighed 72 pounds. It was 2010.
Right.
And I mean, I ran the whole list, and it was a spectacular catch. They won $100,000 on that KDW. With good fortune, they weren't in quite a few of the other Calcuttas because we had 4 kings for not enough even to beat their KDW, but ended up in second place and won a pile of money in that event. But to be successful at this game, what I'm trying to get to is you've got to become a student. You've got to put in the effort, work effort, and then study it. Know what it takes to win and get as much history on where and how and why anybody that was successful. And it's so much more than just fishing. For sure.
No doubt about it. I mean, there's an author called Malcolm Gladwell. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Tipping Point, if you ever heard of that book.
I do know the book, yes.
He talks about this thing called the theory of 10,000 hours.
Yep.
Where you got to put in your 10,000 hours at least. You know, they talk about the Beatles doing it and why the Beatles became so successful, and Steve Jobs and like all these people. Well, it's like
natural talent plus
the 10,000 hours. You got to put in the time, man. There's no other way to get around it. And there's got to be scenarios where you're in a tournament going, I've seen this before. I felt this before. This is what's about to happen.
Dude, I just got the chills from so many memories of that exact moment. And that moment, you don't have a fish in the box. You haven't released a sailfish, and wait a minute, wind's here, conditions here, barometric pressure here. Watch this, guys. We're fixing to go win. And 2 hours later, rum's poured back then.
How many times? I mean, you're just watching a leaderboard, and you see. No, not you.
Oh.
I'm just actually now I'm talking to the crowd. How many times you watch a leaderboard? You see, native son. Like on the last day, native son's moving up. You know, and that doesn't happen by mistake.
No, a condition changes, something occurs.
You're recognizing it all and adapting to it. I mean,
real time. Well, that's the decision making right there.
Yeah.
And I tell the guys throughout the course of the day, guys, we are one decision away from winning this tournament. One good decision, keep pushing, and they're obviously you go through droughts. There's times where you start to lose your crew, and you can feel that energy drop, and it's important. Don't talk down to them. You hear the adage, the captain yelling at the crew.
Yeah.
And God, man, that doesn't work. If you're yelling, rule number 1, if you're yelling, you're losing. You're doing it wrong.
Yep.
It's got to be positive energy, positive thought. But recognize when maybe their minds are drifting. We all got a little bit of that ADD. It's hard to stay focused.
The sun gets hot. You're not catching any fish. I mean, it's tough to stay standing.
Recognize when that's occurring and make sure they know, look, guys, I hadn't made that decision yet, but that only means that it's coming later. Be ready. And in so many events, especially in the meat events, where it only takes an hour of the right condition and the right bites, and you capitalizing, and you won. I can't tell you how many events.
Changes everything.
Yeah. Most of them occurred early in the day. First hour of the tournament, it's over. Might as well go tie to the dock. We just won this thing, guaranteed. But on several, and they were by far my most enjoyable and exciting and favorite events, where there's less than an hour left in the event and a condition changes, and all right, it's about to happen, boys. And we make a move, done. Hour later, one event. And one of them, Palm Beach event, I remember so vividly. Everybody's got their moods, and my boy Jason back then and buddy Brandon were so bad to go in the tank. If we weren't competing and looking like we were going to win in the first half of the day, I'd lose those guys.
Really?
And I know one of them medicates himself now to get out of that funk. Prescription with help from a doctor. Not,
sure.
And
not from a freelance pharmaceutical, right?
No, none of that sort of thing that I know of anyway. And they, I thought I'd lost them for sure, but then they finally, after that event in Palm Beach, in the last hour, made a move and smoked it. I mean, it was unbelievable. There were 40-pound kings laying all over the deck and sharks all over the place and mahis. It was unbelievable. And to watch those guys go from that funk they were in to, Jesus, I cannot give up on this guy anymore because it might be the last 5 minutes we're going to win this thing.
Yep.
And that recognition of seeing your guys reach that level of belief is as good as winning any event.
Yeah. I mean, I think we say again, parallel between art and fishing. The 3 C's of design are consistency, consistency, consistency. It's the same for fishing. Yep. The 3 C's of fishing are consistency, consistency, consistency. A good friend of mine, as we all know, Bernard Paulus, fishes with you. And he always says, he's like, one of my favorite things about art is he just doesn't lose his cool.
No.
Like ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he goes, that goes a long way on a boat, when you're managing, when you're up there in the tower and, you got guys looking at you for answers and you just don't lose your cool.
You won't believe where I learned that. And I see it now in the greatest NFL head coach that ever existed. But in powder puff football, my junior year of high school, I was one of the coaches. And we were doing extremely well. And I fired up sprinting down the sideline and jumping up and down. And my old man, who was a football coach and tons of experience there, said, "Man, you look like an idiot." He says, "Dude, you have absolutely lost it at that point. You're not recognizing what's happening. You're not getting all the information you possibly can because you're out there celebrating." Mm-hmm. When the party's over, that's when the right guys, that's when you celebrate. When the game is done, now you celebrate. You have no more thought that has to go into this. You don't have to learn anything more.
Right.
So junior year in high school, it makes sense. I got that.
Well, powder puff football.
Yep. 16 years old. Yeah, 17 years, however old I was. That was a moment where I changed and was able to start seeing things that everybody else is celebrating, and I'm recognizing the changes are creating the ability to make decisions to be successful. Mm-hmm. When, we won this battle, but we got a lot of the war left to fight.
Yeah. While the clock's ticking, you're still working. That's exactly. The way I kind of look at it. No, I'm still on the clock. I'm still working. I need to stay focused.
Absolutely.
I look at things like that in the same way. It's kind of nice that you had your dad there to, give you that tip. But
Tough guy.
I'm sure that wasn't the only one he's given you over the years. No. I mean, being 7th generation native Floridian, thus the native son. Yeah. I'm sure you're a big influence of your time in the water. It's because of your dad.
Absolutely, and he's everything to me. I mean, really, he was an extraordinarily strict father, which probably kept me healthy and safe as a young man. Though I think I was pretty tame. But interesting thing, the generations. He did all the genealogy, and I haven't bothered to look that closely into it yet. I'm sure I will as I get older. But
he's 45 now. So.
Yeah, his father was Fishman, and their relationship wasn't great, but I'm got to believe there was somewhat of a bond there. He spent a lot more time as a young man in the woods. Mm-hmm. My dad did, but my father was a fishman. He was a fisherman. He always supplied all the fish. He worked in a packing house in Citrus up in Vero Beach there. And I loved, he had that look of that old salt fisherman. He had that kind of squashed hat and ragged and weathered. The back of his neck was so weathered from the sun. But man, did he scream of fisherman. I recognized it as a 3-year-old. And I said, yep, that's me.
Yeah.
That's who I'm going to be. Mm-hmm. The weathered neck. And my old man's got that weathered neck now. And hopefully the sun doesn't beat us up to the point that it costs us too much.
Yeah, you got to watch that these days. I mean, with the sun.
How is it different?
What's that?
Those guys survived it. Why am I not going to survive?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, you know what? I have a theory on like all the sicknesses and diseases that we have today. And I just think science is just so advanced in recognizing these things earlier.
Yep.
Than people, lifespans are longer now. Yeah. And there's a reason, because they're recognizing these things earlier. Before that, we had the same things going on. It's just that people were dying from them because they weren't able to treat them. So
I'm going to wear my skin cancer scars like a trophy, man.
Yeah, for sure. That's
part of the lifestyle.
Yeah, knock on wood, but it comes with the territory sometimes. I mean, that's when you're under the sun like that all the time.
I appreciate you mentioning the native son and the 7 generations. That means a lot to me and my people, my family.
It's part of you. You know what I mean? It's a big part of you, and it's important to bring it up, I think, when you're bringing Art Sapp on the show called Connected by Water, because I want to get down to the root of who people are, because that's what this show is all about. You know what I mean? It's just about the community. It's not really a fishing show.
It's a community show.
It's a community show. You know what I mean? But, it happens that most of my friends are fishermen. You know what I mean? But it's, and that's what we end up talking about most of the time, but it's really a community show about living life around the water and, and that aspect of it. So We like to think we bring on the best of the best in this community on the show. We certainly have today. So one of the things is, you are truly an ambassador, not only of brands, but you're just an ambassador of the community that, we all, love and live in and just, are a part of. And you're one of the chief ambassadors in that community. And a lot of people look up to you with a lot of respect. You are also...
You have no idea how hard that is to hear it. No, I appreciate it.
It's true. Come on. So one of the things, though, even you are now a figurehead officially with this. What's this called? The South Florida Management Fisheries Council?
South Atlantic Fisheries Management Council.
So what's your role here?
I am a council member representing Florida. It's an open seat, so the thought before me was a commercial fisherman out of Fort Pierce, Ben Hardig, an exceptional man, and he's a commercial fisherman. He makes a living kingfishing up there, and has done so, I believe, his entire life. And he represented Florida commercial fishermen extraordinarily well. And when I got in there, I had some giant shoes to fill, and I've had to reach out to commercial fisheries that I really have never had my hands in at all to make sure that I'm able to cover their bases. But what I've recognized is there wasn't really anybody covering the charter commercial fishery from Broward County south that well. And to try to study up, and fortunately from the relationships I've developed over the years, have been able to sit there. I'm sitting there at these council meetings, and I mean, they set the rules within the restrictions that the science community gives us, which is a disaster.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Absolute disaster. But that's what our task is, to set the rules that within the regulations that the science community gives us. And you've got to do it for an area from Key West to the north end of North Carolina.
That's the region you're responsible for?
It's utterly ridiculous.
What?
Dennis, it is ridiculous.
It's way too long.
Wait, there aren't even it needs to cut off at
they're not even
Canaveral.
In the same biosphere.
No, not at all. Canaveral South should be its own region, and then Canaveral North Carolina, because the amount of fishermen, for one, from Canaveral South,
different ecosystem.
10 times of fishermen from Canaveral South than there are, actually using the ocean day-to-day basis, trips being made. But we all have to work together on it, and Georgia and South Carolina are almost negligible, in my opinion.
Right.
Not enough people go. They can't do enough damage, in my opinion.
The coastline is completely. Right. I mean, alone is just.
Exactly. As long as they have reasonable regulations, Georgia and South Carolina are going to be just fine.
Right. That
Carolina has got a strong fishery. There's a lot of people fishing out of North Carolina, and the fishery is extraordinary. I mean, that 60 fish mahi limit.
Yeah,
man, the charter boats, when the mahi's around, they wreck it. Every one of them, they hit that 60, and they're not successful unless they do.
Yeah,
that's got to change.
Yeah, it's got to change. Yeah,
and that's something we're working on right now.
Is most of that out of the Oregon Inlet?
A lot of it is, but it's Hatteras. It's all through there. Yeah, and there's some great fishermen up there. I mean, they do some amazing stuff. But that theory or that thought process of we're not successful unless we hit our limit on our yellowfin tunas, not successful unless we hit our limit on the mahis. When they go to wrecking the blue line tiles, they got to hit their limit. And there's some differences in the way that they do their limits up there than we do. Their captain and crew count as anglers on the boat. So
really?
So they count too. Other than with the mahis, they stop at 60.
They're going to devastate that fishery if they keep that up.
That's the thing. The blue line tiles are fine, but the science community, it's such a rare event species on the way they do their science that when one is presented and one is encountered with their dockside checks, one fish turns into 1 million, and they feel like, they're being overfished all of a sudden.
Yeah.
The species is fine.
It's got to be balanced for sure. You know what I mean? But
reasonable regulation on recreational.
Yeah.
Biggest key to success in the future in fisheries management, recreational reporting. We have to find a way, because right now the science community, in my opinion, is using algorithms that are so advanced that normal human being, you guys can't understand them. That's what we were told in our last meeting.
I think the science community does that a lot.
They do.
Purpose,
they talk
by
down.
Design, just to confuse people.
This scientist was even saying they're so advanced I can't even understand them.
Right.
But this is how we're going to regulate you.
Oh, it sounds fancy. Yeah, we got to believe it.
Dude, he almost lost the entire room at that point. Even the rest of the science community. Dude, you're going to talk down to us at that level?
Yeah.
it was so aggravating. And he said that right after I had informed him that in 2007, 2008, at the lowest of the economy, when fuel prices were above $5 a gallon, and I'd have the ocean to myself, basically. It was amazing. It was a great time for me because somehow I was able to continue fishing. But there was nobody out there. We had it all to ourselves. Mm-hmm. Yet that was the height of the trips on their graph that they were showing us. There were more people fishing in 2007 and 2008 than there are today by their reports.
There's no way that's possible.
Not at all. No. And they were talking millions and millions of trips, and even shore-based trips, which you would think would be more likely. Well, the Georgia constituents were saying you basically have the entire state of Georgia making a shorebound trip a day for like 100 days of the year. So the entire state of Georgia doesn't go fishing, and a lot of them are out to the west. They're not making it to the ocean to go fishing. It's just
right.
There's so much bullshit involved in the science of what we're trying to do there, and that's who limits us. And then what's bad is now the South Atlantic Fisheries Management Council, they get the blame for reduced limits on species that there should absolutely not be reduced limits, and like the whole red snapper fiasco.
Didn't DeSantis just expanded that the other day?
Well, it's on the Gulf Coast, not on the Atlantic coast.
Oh, that's on the Gulf Coast only?
Yeah, DeSantis is a godsend, dude. He's
amazing. He's going to be president one day.
I said the same thing.
Yeah.
I hope so. I really, and hopefully he doesn't get swayed by the time he gets there.
I think he'll be all right.
Yeah.
He's got the pen. He's got the
I thought we were going to go into politics, but I love that.
No, that's okay. I talk about DeSantis a lot because I really like the guy a lot.
You and I both.
On this show because he's a big advocate for clean water, which is like our really big cause here. So I do bring him up a lot because that was really his first act as governor was like,
this is what we're
fire that tire the Everglades council, the management council, and let's put in new blood in there, people because all those guys were on the take. So I hear.
That's so I hear. Yep.
Right.
Allegedly
on and just they all have their own personal agendas.
Water management council.
Yeah, and then so he said the first thing we need to do is just rip that apart and start over.
Absolutely.
Which was the smartest thing.
Absolutely,
because we're seeing the effects of it today.
Absolutely.
There's still some fungul the stuff that we need to take care of. But
one of the guys on my boat is married to a fungul who separated from the family years and years ago. They're not wealthy, unfortunately. Or he'd be helping us support this one. But it's funny how the connection can be made, though. But, hey, Mikey Gullah.
Yeah, I think I guess we're getting off on a tangent with that right now. But I definitely think we talk about that a lot on the show, and I definitely think that there's some land that should be granted to the state to at least let the water flow south.
Yeah, I hope in our lifetime we get to see a moderately natural flow.
Yeah. Flip, did you read the thing that Flip Pallet wrote yesterday? Or
I saw it. I've been pushing.
It's not that long. It's a really good read. Actually, I could probably bring it up while my phone's not in the room. But it's a really good read. It's very short and it'll probably take you about 5 minutes to read it. But it's really kind of like a punch in the face to, hey guys, if no one's going to say it, I'm going to say this is what's actually happening. It's very simple. As to he's like, this is. When I was a kid growing up, he grew up in Southwest Dade on the edge of the Everglades. He would fish down a flamingo all the time. And just the amount of deer and otter and just all different kinds of species, and even the pythons and everything like that. And because the reason that he brought it up is because people are like, oh, we have a python problem. He's like, yeah, well, now we do. You know what I mean? It's because all the other species are just, the entire place is gone. Like rookeries, by, old herons and stuff are being abandoned. And is it ever going to come back?
Yeah.
Well, I think it can come back if we treat it properly, and then that's why I fight the battle here.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's possible to salvage it.
Oh, without a doubt. That there's so the problem is there's so many avenues that need to be tackled. The plastic in the ocean is a giant one today.
Yeah.
And it's how has it exploded over the last 5 years the way it has? I mean, is that much more plastic being used in the world? I mean, I remember using plastic bags since I was 5 years old. I mean, how is it all of a sudden that it's all in the ocean, all over the place? You see it constantly now.
Yeah.
And the balloons, dude, aside from my helium balloons.
Well, the Mylar.
The Mylar balloons, they got to go. They have to go away.
Yep.
They have to go away. It doesn't even take a west wind anymore. You see them out there on 2 weeks of east wind and there's Mylar balloons floating in the ocean. How is that even possible? Where are they coming from?
It's crazy. I mean, I think really, if we teeter on the edge here of extreme environmentalism and just common sense. Like, let's all just be responsible. Can't we all just get that through our heads and just, not throw your trash out your window? Yeah. A lot of it is runoff. And even a lot of people, you live on the intercoastal, you're in the intercoastal community, and I'm sure there's people just hosing stuff off their backyard, like right into the
materials
intercoastal.
I'm okay with. When I say that, I don't mean fertilizer and stuff like that. I mean, if leaves and some tree limbs end up in the ocean.
That's different. Yeah, but
the plastic garbage bags, and they blow so easily too. And it seems like we've had so much wind here this fall, but blown trash getting in the canals. And thank God for Four Oceans and these groups.
Four Oceans is an outstanding organization. They're actually coming in to be one of the sponsors for the Pompano Beach Lighthouse Point Holiday Boat Parade as well. Yeah, so
tell me to get off the sharks though. U.S. shark populations are fine. Get off that, please.
They're fine.
They're
more than fine. They're thriving.
Yeah, way too strong.
Yeah, they're
I've never seen so many sharks in the intercoastal over the last year. I even made a video of a dead manatee where there was in dark water. You can see 7 at a time. A giant hammerhead shark coming out from under Hillsborough Inlet Bridge, headed out to the ocean. They've been cruising around. I mean, when I say giant, this thing was 700-800 pounds.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the shark population is extraordinary. And unfortunately, on the South Atlantic Management Council there, sharks aren't our purview. They're a highly migratory species, so there's a whole nother council that handles the billfish and the sharks and the tunas. And they have little to no belief that there are even any sharks in our ocean to speak of. They want to protect it.
Yeah, they think it's all like Japan, shark fin soup and and all that whole thing.
And I think we've slipped by. There was a bill trying to get passed where shark fins were going to become illegal entirely in the U.S. That happens, there's no commercial shark fishery that will ever exist again because the value isn't there in the meat. You can break even on the meat in the sharks, but you make your money on the shark fins. And if you took the fins away, then nobody would go shark fishing ever again commercially. And God, the populations are so strong now. I would hate to see if there was zero commercial fishery on them. It'd take forever to balance, and I believe it will balance over time.
I mean, I believe it'll balance over time, and it's only a matter. One thing you got to watch out for if just something like that happens is eventually those sharks are going to start creeping in more inshore, more towards closer to the beach, more people. I mean, it's going to get even worse like over time. And
these are primarily coastal migratory fish.
Yeah, when it starts affecting your swimmers and your tourists and stuff like that, then they're going to be like, wait a minute, this is a bottom line issue now.
They'll see them, it'll scare them, but it won't affect them. These are fish-eating sharks. They seldom want to bite.
No doubt about it. But that's what I'm saying. If they start seeing them, then people are going to be scared to go in the water. It's going to affect a lot of things. I don't know.
Yeah, that I
perhaps it's just a theory on my behalf.
No. I mean, if they're seeing them, and we have the good fortune of having good clean water in the ocean frequently. You can see.
We do.
But it's crazy. You see these videos where people are swimming and there's a shark 10 feet from them. They're clueless.
Yeah,
they have no idea.
Right. Clueless.
This 12-foot tiger shark swimming right through them.
Yep, clueless.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
All the time, every day, every day. Yeah.
The how do you feel about the new blackfin rule?
Love it. I wish there was a size limit on them, though.
Okay.
Yep. And I was actually involved in that.
Take the footballs away?
Yep. Well, reasonable. I was at 18 inches is where I wanted to be. I heard a lot of 15 inches. And I was speaking with FWC quite a bit about that. And the nice thing, FWC started this, and it's going to now, I'm going to introduce it at the federal level at the South Atlantic Fisheries Management Council because, it's a fishery that is targeted through the entire management area. And the North Carolinians they generally catch nicer blackfins up there. They don't catch too many of the small ones, but they don't throw anything back. Somehow North Carolina doesn't have a size limit on mahi, where the entire rest of the region does. Now, I'm not a big proponent of a size limit on mahi. I hate seeing minnows killed, but they're such ravenous feeders, and they get the hook so deep so frequently. If you hook the mahi, you bring it in a boat, it counts as your limit. Keep it 90% of the time because it's going to die. Release mortality on a mahi is horrific. The bigger ones, but who's releasing a bigger mahi?
No one's letting that go.
Yeah. So
I'll see you later, 50-pound bull.
It ain't happening. Although Jose used to do it somehow. Jose
only in South America.
Yeah, exactly. They're a nuisance for bill fishermen down there, and even in the Bahamas, bill fishermen they run from those green hornets. But that's such a small group of fishermen that do that. But so I don't know.
They reproduce so quickly too.
They do, but at the same time, we have to caution because Dolphin fishing is not as strong as it was even 5 years ago and 15 years ago. So, yes, we are having some effect, when I say we, human beings, on the mahi population. I don't believe that it's so much U.S. recreational or even commercial for that matter, because the commercial sector only gets 5% of the fishery, mahi fishery. So don't get on commercial fishermen about how many dolphin they're killing, because they're killing 5% of the fishery, where the recreational sector has that other 95%. They've never, prior to these new numbers coming out, they've never gone over like 60% of the catch. But even at that, you're 60% to the commercial's 5%. I don't want to hear about recreational fishermen dogging commercial fishermen on mahis. That's ludicrous. Their allowable catch is so limited.
It's our common fish around here. I mean, it really is. I mean, that's our most prevalent species. And I mean, how many times you go to what's your fish of the day? Oh, it's mahi.
Yeah.
You know,
what's scary is how little of that comes from this country. The majority of it is imported.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah. I don't have them. I should have probably brought the numbers, but the amount of mahi that is eaten in this country far supersedes the amount that is legally commercially harvested from this country. So it has to. We have no other way of keeping up with the demands other than to import, which there were a few agendas that I was pushing were fully licensed, fully commercial licensed charter fishermen. I was pushing hard to try to allow them to sell any mahi catch that they had that was beyond what the charter wanted, as long as they were fully licensed commercial, just like a commercial fisherman would be. And infrequently, if you caught, if you were to take 60, which I would never take 60 mahis on a charter, you're going to end up with a ton left over.
It's a lot of flaying to do.
Yeah.
First of all.
Dude, I generally stop at 10.
Yeah.
Guys, 10 decent mahis.
And the guests, they don't realize how much meat that actually is.
Yeah.
They bring this little cooler and they expect to fill up the boat, and they're like, "Oh, I've filleted 2 fish. I can't fit any more in this cooler."
Pretty much, yeah. What do you guys can keep the rest? Well, guys. So I'll frequently 10 fish. All right, let's go do something else. There's always something else to do. That's a great thing about South Florida. Yeah. There's always something to pull on of some kind, even if it's just a barracuda. And I'm going to start having to bring crabs on the boat, calico crabs or something. I've been seeing permit out front of Hillsborough Inlet on every inbound tide coming home.
Yeah, you're getting them?
Really big ones. I haven't had crabs or anything, but I'm running in. Oh my God, there's another one.
Let's go permit fishing.
Oh, dude, on a calm day, I guarantee you we can
call me up, dude. I'll go do that with you.
Cobia style, cruise the beach and between here and Jap Rock, and you're going to see them on the beach. It's more than I've ever seen in years past. We used to see them herring fishing down around Government Cut all the time.
Right. Frequently
early in the fall and then again in the spring, but starting to see them up here, and big ones. These fish are not small.
That's nice.
Yeah. It'd be cool if we did develop a fishery along those lines.
Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe some more prevalent wreck situations and stuff like that might help that out.
And two, we spent quite a bit of time this summer kind of cruising the beach before the lifeguards got there, casting on snook. It was a fun thing. The dolphin fishing was so bad this summer that we were hunting other things to do, and we'd do that until the wind came up enough we'd get the kites up. And dude, that was fun. And in doing that, you get to see some of the other species that you didn't know were in there all these years. And unfortunately, still not seeing the beach cobias like we used to. But
John did a pretty okay. I mean, on the last mullet run there, walking the beach snook fishing. He's an amazing snook
kind of
fisher
early this year. But that's my thing is
wind,
surf
dude.
fishing.
Yeah, so much wind this year.
It was rough.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh. I was hoping that we'd get another late push there after things kind of died down. There's some around, but I haven't really heard many big fish on them. There's a lot of schools,
Yeah, the bait's here right now. Again, we've got a really good push of finger mullet rolling through right now.
Well, it's probably we're all getting geared up for tournament season here too now. So I mean, seeing some bait in the water isn't a bad thing.
No, it's wonderful. And I get all my pins I'm starting to load them down good, and the stuff starts to grow all over them. And when the mullet are around, it reduces the growth. Yeah. They sit there and they chow on that thing all day long. You back there in the mullet working on the bait pins. Now, in a couple of weeks when they start to disappear, the growth.
Get the cleaning.
So I want to, in light of, let's segue into that for a second, into the tournament stuff, right? So I want to, I guess we can officially announce that
Please.
Art Sapp, Captain Art Sapp, we'll officially call him, will be coming on the Connected by Water on a monthly basis for what we haven't officially titled anything yet, but it's basically going to be the Connected by Water tournament report with Art Sapp, and we're going to throughout. Well, we're going to probably do that all the way up. We could do that every month.
Want,
yeah, we can do that every month because there's always something going on around here in Florida. That's the beauty of where we live, is there's always action.
Yep.
Maybe October or September might start getting a little slow, but we can still do something with that. And we could talk about travel and tournaments and different things that you do too.
Certainly.
So for those of you that have become fans of the show, yay! First of all, thank you. We're going to be doing that once a month. I think that's going to be a really good thing. That's going to be a fun show.
The way I see it too is, listen, it's a community thing. If we can maybe talk some of the other guys that we're competing against to get involved a little bit too, bounce some theories and thoughts and why.
Yeah, and that's what I guess we should say, that we're going to be bringing on other people too,
if they're willing.
If they're willing to come and sit with us and hang out and talk about the tournaments, and people that have success and people that can just be knowledgeable and offer some good insight into that realm. And it's going to be a fun thing. I want to have fun with that.
Absolutely.
I don't want it to be just like, there's a report.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
and one of the main reasons I want to do it is, while yes, I'm a little bit spooked of releasing more of the thought process, because I've released so much of the technical end of it through the seminars and everything.
Well, you're 45 now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, but I need to create.
I'm not gonna let you forget you said that.
More and better ways to learn. And so much of my success has been from, this is, I sit down and it might take a month post-tournament, and you will have fished another tournament, to be able to run through all the occurrences and the decisions that were made and why they were successful or unsuccessful. And I'm thinking this might kind of expedite it, I think is a word. I don't know, maybe, by bouncing some thoughts off of somebody, because I've never really done that. I've never post-tournament sat down and run the thought process, and it's getting harder as I get older I don't remember as well as I did in my 20s and 30s. But
I can relate to that.
Yeah, the sooner I can run these ideas through, and if I can bounce them off of somebody, I think that it might advance it. And I've had some success over the last few years. The last 10 years have been successful, but prior to that, those were some really successful years. And I desperately want to have one more year where we string 4 or 5 together in a row. And it might not be possible, because there are so many.
There's a lot better.
When I say 4 or 5 wins,
competition now.
Yeah. When it was then too, there were some of the best fishermen in the world were fishing then too. But so many more people have the technical skills that I don't think there were great fishermen in, but I don't think technically they were as advanced as a few of us were in our own particular ways. I immediately, the rivalry Casey Hunt and I had, dude, that drove me to the best I've ever been, because that guy is extraordinarily good. And he was winning at a level that I couldn't allow to continue, to be honest with you. I saw a rivalry there. I saw a great human being there, and I saw a guy that I had to beat.
Yep.
And that drove me for a few years there. And we had a couple of years where we put 4 or 5 wins together. Not successes, wins. Straight up win a tournament. Dude, winning a tournament's very, very hard. And there are a lot of great fishermen that will never win a tournament, not once, and still be thought of and should go into the IGFA Hall of Fame, which, by the way, I'm interested in. I don't hear.
We'll hashtag that one.
Yeah, I don't know why.
No, I think you should be there. I mean, for
I don't.
Keep doing it. Keep doing what you do. You'll get there. No, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't have a direct rivalry right now with any one particular person, and I'm wondering if that was part of the drive then.
That helps.
But I have such fond memories of that.
That helps. I mean, with the Hunt family, I mean, can't say enough about them. I mean, the entire family.
They're Pompano.
Yeah,
them,
for sure.
The Maddocks.
Absolutely.
The Wheelers.
Yep.
Old Pompano. And I'm not. I'm from Lauderdale. I moved up here, and it was the best move I'd ever made, because down there, when you caught fish, I don't have pictures of fish I caught as a kid for the most part. Nobody got to know about that.
You want to know the funny thing is, you bring that up, and I was on that show, Unfathomed, with George Gods, right? And we did a day of fishing right out here out of the inlet, and then they came in here for a day in the studio, and I did some drawing and stuff like that. It was a really great show. I don't know if you've seen the episode or not, right? You got to watch it. It's really cool. But one of the things they asked me for was, we're going to need some pictures of you fishing when you were a kid, right? I grew up down here fishing, whatever. Yeah. And so I swear, I'm looking through shoe boxes, and I'm like over my parents' house. I'm like, what happened to all those mahi pictures that we had? You know what I mean? And my mom's like, oh, they're probably somewhere in the house. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the kind of thing. Now you just got to like look through your phone or look at your Facebook account and look at all these picture shots. But back, uncovering those pictures, I was lucky enough to think when I was 12 years old, holding some big bulls and stuff like that. We found a couple. But it was a lot harder.
You didn't talk about it down there.
No.
You didn't talk. You didn't catch shit. What?
Yeah.
Why do you guys go all the time? You don't catch it.
Yeah.
You don't talk about it back then. And then I moved up here, and there was this community where, in the beginning, it was guarded to some degree, but it was a community, and you did kind of work off each other. And especially in bait fishing, you actually talked. You didn't, and if you didn't talk, dude, you were shunned hard. It was so different to me, and that's one of the reasons I love having moved to Pompano area here is the true community. Now, there's obviously the rivalries and the ball busting and everything, which is a big part of it, but it's so much more a community than I ever felt like I was involved in down there. Fishing community, and it's grown now with social media and everything. It's one ginormous community. It seems like, but it was an interesting experience, and then to get involved in the tournaments and that really helped to create that community and met so many wonderful human beings.
There was when I was painting the bridge. Now the bridge is just littered with fish, right? This is fish all over, all different species and everything like that. And it was pretty much a done project. And one of the new council members stepped in and were like, well, I don't think we should move forward with this or whatever. And we're like, wait, everyone was like, wait, what? She's like, well, it doesn't represent all of Pompano and like all stuff like that. And we're like, time out. First of all, this is on the intercoastal. Second of all, this is Pompano.
Yep.
Like this is what defines this community. I'm sorry if you don't see it that way, but it's the truth.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And it really does. And Pompano and Lighthouse Point, very unique in that respect of a town in that really the entire town just revolves around, fishing and diving and, surfing to some degree and paddleboarding, that whole aspect of it, more so than I think, until you get down to the Keys, more so than any other town along the coast. And that's really what makes it such a unique spot to me. I don't know if it's its proximity to the uniqueness of Hillsborough Inlet, and obviously,
what an awesome inlet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really is amazing. I mean, most of us are running north, you know what I mean? But still, it's just that whole proximity to where you don't really have to run north here. Sometimes the best fish you catch are right out front.
Right out front. Dude, I can't tell you how many tournaments I've won right out front.
Yeah.
Less than 3 miles from the inlet. Billfish tournaments to meatfish tournaments to all of it. And some of the catches. The bluefin tunas we're seeing roll through here now in the wintertime, sitting directly in front of Hillsborough Inlet in an edge when we got a good tailing condition and bluefin tunas rolling by. Or the humpback whale. I've got a video of a humpback whale jumping with the lighthouse in the background. It's such an extraordinary. Oh yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have to roll that one.
It's a Facebook Live video. We have to get it out of my Facebook thing.
We'll be able to get it off Facebook Live.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, 100 years ago or live or posted on there. One of those, I don't know. But unbelievable experience. And right whales we've seen in there. Like I said, talking about the sharks and the permits. And it's such a special place.
Skip was on, Skip Dana was on not too long ago with Joey and Skip and we talked a little bit about, I don't know if you listened to that one, but we talked a little bit about that little reef thing that was going on for a little while, which everyone was just kind of like rolled their eyes right from the start. Like, this isn't happening. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Were you on that council?
I was not.
You were not?
Not involved at all.
I'm glad that went away quickly.
Yeah. You're talking about our Florida reefs. Oh, God, yes. No, I got called in late on that.
I thought you were on that council, right?
Well, I got called in late on that deal, yes. That's what made me end up where I am today with this fishery.
Right. So this is complete overreach in its finest regard.
They're trying again,
in my mind. Are they trying again? So this is another reason why I think it's important to keep bringing this up, because they're going to keep trying.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's important to stay vigilant on this, because it's the fishermen, it's the outdoorsmen, it's the true conservationists in this regard, the ones that really are keeping their house clean.
Yeah. You want to know real quick?
We're not the problem. Yeah, I'm sorry.
The worst thing that has occurred from all of this, we have to now be conservationists. We can't be environmentalists, because environmentalists are now extremists.
Correct.
They stole the word.
Correct.
And there was nothing ever. It was being an environmentalist had forever been a great thing. Now it's the same extraordinarily extreme. Insanity is now an environmentalist, unfortunately. But
it's true. When I was in high school, I started an environmental club.
Yeah.
Right. And it was for the mindset of what we're talking about today. Yep. But now that word has just been completely silly puttied out into like something else.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
But yeah, I'm petrified right now that we're going to lose a very good portion of 100, 120, 130 foot of water down in the Ocean Reef area to a federal issue that, it's kind of between it'll be a marine sanctuary, but they're talking about taking it away from the fishermen entirely.
Key Largo?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. Well, the park is going through some changes right now, and FWC's they're doing a great job trying to hold the feds back, because forever the feds have allowed FWC to control the park, the Biscayne National Park. And they've had a mandate where you've got to heighten restrictions within the park for 10 years. All right, well, we're going to do some studies or whatever, and now we're kind of coming to the date where something's got to happen or the feds are going to take over. And you don't want the feds diving into an area they really don't know anything about.
Right.
It's just a state area. Let the state offices handle it. But kind of the trade-off right now is if you weren't successful, this is the sanctuary area that we're also talking about taking. And the guys in the Keys are fighting it hard right now. But the northern Keys are really who's going to be affected the worst if it does go through.
Wow.
Yeah. And you probably haven't heard anything of it prior to this.
No, you're breaking news to me here.
Bryce Barr is extremely well. He's in Key West, and he keeps saying, "Dude, I'm fighting this, but the area we've already gone through. There are sanctuary areas down there that they're not allowed to play in at all. But fortunately, Key West is so expansive. The fishing area is so expansive that they're able to fish elsewhere and successfully. But they're talking about taking some more, and they're fighting that. And they said, but the worst of it is Key Largo area all the way up. It's relatively uninhabited there, Ocean Reef to the Key Largo
There's
Sea.
a Fowey kind of up and down
South
that way?
Fowey,
South
the
of
Beacon.
Fowey. That's, right, yeah.
Yeah, well, they call the Triumph area Beacon.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the farther northern boundary. But this is, a lot of fishermen use that area.
Yeah.
But fishermen are prone not to talk until it's too late and something happens.
So what can we do?
Read up, get more involved. I'm 2/3 illiterate. I can't see up close anymore. These cheaters try to help me. But again, ADD, I read for my biggest issue with the council deal too. It's so much reading. I read for 10 minutes and my mind's off thinking about fishing somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't keep up.
So, I guess, part of what we can do is, we're trying to raise awareness to the issues on the show.
Yep,
right?
absolutely. Big part. This is wonderful.
And that's one of the efforts that we're trying to make here. And hopefully people listen, and hopefully people take into account some of the things that we bring up here. Because, part of me bringing this stuff up too is for my own selfish reasons too, because I want to get educated.
Yeah.
And as much as I think I know about our estuarian systems and our coastal systems and our reef systems, you can't know enough, and I always try to bring on people like yourself that do know a lot more about it than I do, to shed some light on areas that maybe I haven't learned about, like the thing you're talking about right now. Yeah. And I think it's important.
Yeah, my lack of ability to convey the information, I've battled that through the council process. Even I get so angry because I know I'm not making myself clear that you need that legal mind.
Yeah, but that's okay though, because I think some people. Here's the thing. Maybe you are and you don't realize it, because there's some people out there that just talk, and they might not be making a good point, but they feel cathartically that they're getting it out. Mm-hmm. I did a great job today. I talked a lot.
Yeah. Maybe I'm quite the opposite.
Well, but you might your short words might be precise.
So much going through your head and trying to get it all out.
Exactly. It's a nightmare.
I get like that a lot too.
Yeah. And sit there at a council where you're affecting people's livelihoods, and as important as I'm not a money guy, I could give a rat's ass about money. It's so fucking aggravating. But anyway, you're affecting people's livelihoods, but even more so, you're affecting people's passions, their escape from their livelihood, which to me is the most important thing in the world. Mm-hmm. Your ability to get away from all the difficult parts of life and go enjoy your time in the ocean, but you can't even put a hook in the water here. And my greatest fear is now being involved in this council process that I might screw up and take something away from somebody that unwarranted. And the last thing I want to do is ever close a fishery or through this process, which is part of the deal. If a fish is being overfished and undergoing overfishing, terms I despise because it's so hard to actually determine that that's happening, the process is to close a fishery. No, that is not the right move. Look where we are with American red snappers.
Right.
Species we don't deal much with down here, but there's a good portion of this region that that is their favorite fish. Their biggest target. And I say that if you put some time in on some deep wrecks in the area, you will catch American red snappers. And there's a couple of charter boat guys that are doing it right now. I wish they'd stop posting pictures of them.
Yeah.
I'm proud of them for catching them. To do it is a talent. But, man, don't bring the eyes of the world on a fishery that within state waters is legal. And the feds hate us for that. Like blue tilefish, as long as you're not a federally licensed charter boat, you can catch blue line tiles year round in Florida. Because Florida knows that the species is doing fine. But the feds and their abstract and insane number or scientific method believes that the blue line tiles are about to go extinct.
Yeah.
Not
true.
Hell no.
No.
Hell no. It takes a little bit of talent to catch them because you are fishing in deep water.
But it's just a harder fish to catch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of protects some of those deep water species. Some of them can take a beating. And any species can be affected, but reasonable limits on fish, when you're only hook and line fishing, they're going to do fine. They're going to survive. You're not going to crush the fishery. Now, giant nets and traps and different methods like that, yes, you can put a dent in a species in a hurry. But hook, one line, one rod, one reel, you're not.
One of the time you're never going to outfish it. Yeah.
With reasonable regulations. Yep.
But they just raised the limit on the mutton length too, right?
They did, and I was involved with that with FWC as well.
What's
18 inches, and the reason for it, genius. Forever, 16 inches. We knew male mutton snappers became reproductively mature at 16 inches. That's the number. Let them at least reproduce once.
Right.
And in the amount of eggs, it's a large reproduction. Well, it turns out they did some more science and more studying, real science with real fish, and found out that, wait a minute, females don't become reproductively mature until they're 18 inches. That's got to be the number. Once they explained that, literally the entire room said, oh, genius. It's the right thing to do. The whole room voted for 18-inch minimum on mutton snappers. Let the females reproduce at least once. Dude, we're already seeing a benefit.
That's what I was going to say. It's probably going to take about a year, and then you're going to see an uptick in muttons.
Absolutely. And the muttons were never overfished or undergoing overfishing. Their population has been extraordinarily strong.
Good, but
we're seeing bigger fish and a lot more of them.
Very nice.
So there also was, they wanted to reduce from 10 fish to 5 fish on your aggregate bag limit on mutton snappers on a species that wasn't undergoing overfishing and was in no peril whatsoever, which I felt like the only people that we were punishing here at this point were talented mutton fishermen, and I was not a fan of that one. Though I'm a conservationist by all means, especially in the recreational community, because I hate waste. I hate people killing 20 dolphin, flaying them, sticking them in their freezer. A year later, they're throwing them away.
Yeah,
that nothing pisses me off more than that. But so few people are capable of catching 10 muttons in a day for one guy, and potentially a 30 mutton trip with 3 guys. Why are we punishing less than 1% of the fishing community? Because that's the reality of who's doing that. But I was unsuccessful in that argument, and we are now at 5 fish, which
it's a realistic way to look at it, though.
No doubt. And the only people I was really worried about were the people that were making the long trips, like the Tortugas and all that stuff. I was worried that that charter fishery might get reduced, and maybe the tourism of the private vessels that were trailering down there, but it doesn't seem to have. Guys are still doing it, so I was wrong, and maybe we're doing a better job with conservation on the species. I would, however, love to see a closure of the known spawning aggregations on muttons. To me, it's cheating, and because they're easy enough fish to catch, at least a few of outside of that. And anytime guys are going in there doing it, they're murking big female mutton snappers. They're just crammed full of eggs. And
I was going to ask, is there something that you would regulate? Because I don't want people to get the idea that you're all like, no, don't touch anything. Don't, you know what I mean? Because you do care about it all. You know what I mean? Is there something that you see that might be kind of tinkering?
I'm fighting hard right now to reduce the 60 fish cap on mahis. I want it to 35, but I think we're going to land at 40 fish on dolphin. It still will be 10 per angler, 40 fish, whichever's less. So 2 guys catches 20. And that way, when you have your 2-person charter, I don't want to catch 20 reasonably sized dolphin. I'm not much for killing the little ones. If I pull up on a wad of fish and I see nothing but little ones, I go on. Hey, look at a pretty dolphin. Take some pictures. Swimming in the water. Don't put a hook in the water. No reason. These fish aren't 20 inches, aren't even close. Yeah. Maybe they're 23 inches. If later in the day we haven't got any keepers, okay, we'll take a few. But I'm not killing 20 dolphin, and I'm very cautious as to putting hooks in small fish that I don't even think are legal. Mm-hmm. They're cool to see swimming around the boat. Feed them a few live chummers, let them bust around.
Sure.
The charter generally is very excited and happy to see this. Why aren't we catching these? They're small. They're not legal. Let's not potentially kill them.
Right.
Sounds perfect. They have never once had a complaint there.
Never. I don't think anyone's ever said that, oh, we can't catch them, they're too small, and be like, oh, come on, I want to catch them anyway. Yeah. I don't think anyone's really ever kind of...
You know what's fun with that? We always bring our bait rods, and there's Almaco jacks all over every weed patch, and throw some jigs, and if there's kids especially, they play with that.
Yeah.
And you know what's amazing, too, is you'll be playing with those Almacos, and a horse will swim up. A big mahi, and they want to eat those Almacos. You get the Almaco out of the water and get a goggle eye to them, and here we go.
You know, a cool thing, too, is... it's a pretty good way if you're learning how to fly fish.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Is just to just start throwing that fly into a school of little peanuts.
Even more important to me, the fly fishing thing is a whole nother world, and I did a little bit as a kid. But
no, it's a different world for sure.
But you want to teach an angler how to be a good angler, how to truly. I've lost my word here, but anyway, to learn how to be a good angler, give them a 2 or 4 pound setup. Mm-hmm. Go catch Jack Crevelle's or Almacos or whatever, something that pulls pretty good, or blue runners that have those erratic. You can really learn how to read a fish while you're tight with them, and that's right. There's some good fishermen out there.
You learn how to work a drag that way too, like exactly with a non-consequential way.
If you're in a harness long enough with a big fish, you create a relationship with the fish through the rod. You can tell when the fish is about to ramp up and when you need to lay to him and allow him to do his thing, and you can tell when we're fishing 18 pound of drag, but he's kind of lazy right now. He's not burning too much energy. I'll ramp up. You can learn how you can palm and really work a fish. But you'll feel that energy if you're good. Yeah. You can feel his energy ramping up through the line. Exactly how, I don't know, but you can definitely, if you're in one, learn that. And a great way to learn to get to that place is to start with light line. Because I don't care if you're fishing 18 pounds of drag. If he's fixing to ramp up and make one of those explosive runs, you better back down a little bit. Yeah. You better feel it before it happens, because if you don't, it's too late. Yeah. You pulled a hook, you broke a line.
And that will matter in a tournament setting.
Oh God, nothing matters. It's always one fish.
Yeah. You get those guys that are just so like, I just need to get this fish in the boat. It's like, no, you just need to have some patience.
Exactly.
And take your time.
Yeah, and that's been torture for us. We've been tight with more big yellowfin tunas and one bluefin tuna, which I was on the phone with the feds. Yeah. I can definitely kill this fish, right? Right. It was clearly 74 plus inches, but he was staying on top, had another one with him, and fighting him on 20 pound for almost 2.5 hours. And the charter was handing the rod around, and we were close, man. We were so close so many times. And finally, last year, we'd done this long enough, and he's pumped.
Yeah, can't do that.
No, bro, we put this much time in. Fish was tired. We
put
had
the heat on him. No,
not with 20 pound. But no, I mean, we had like the whole release. Yeah, we got a release on a bluefin. We had to float to the tip several times, but 15 feet away, and you don't try to gaff a 280 pound fish 15 feet away. Get him a little closer, but
yeah, you're asking for trouble. You don't. I mean, when's the last time you actually really fish?
Like with the rod in my hand?
Yeah,
I got a video last year when we go to the Bahamas on a family vacation. We always take a year in the islands, and even then, generally trying to keep my family with rods in hands. But I got a video from the tower last year catching a really nice dolphin. And I remember saying, I think
you're fighting it from the tower.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cast it to him. Said, "Fuck it, I'm not handing the rod off." This is my guys were on the boat, though. Right. This wasn't a charter, and caught a solid 30 pound mahi out of the tower. It was so funny, running the boat trying to chase him down there. It was great. Yeah. And the guys were videoing from down on the deck. Yeah. And somewhere it was a good one. I enjoyed that. And it's generally where I catch the few fish I get to catch anymore is from the tower or in the summer. I caught a really nice king in Jamie's first tournament there in May. I did, primarily just pitching a spinning rod while, help get the spread up, and then watching that.
Now, why you're so happy that day? I saw you on the dock. Hey, what's up? You drinking your
That's the only time I drink anymore. I've gotten so old I can't handle it. Yeah, it's drink at the tournaments after the party's over, after the game.
Yep. When it's all said and done. So what tournaments you got coming up now?
Ben's Dust 'em Off tournament there.
Look forward to getting the guys do the Dust 'em Off. Yep.
And then really not until January, one of my favorite events of the year there in the
Well, you guys are doing an operation
that's
in December. Is
no,
it still in December? They moved it to January now, right?
Jamie's done a good thing in trying to chase what a changing fishery. It used to be that December in Palm Beach was guaranteed to be strong, and it's more January, February now. It's crazy. We get that October, November, which we really haven't had
Things
yet.
have been a little late recently, right?
Yeah, well, we'll get a day in October, November, the first couple of fronts where the fish will get up top, and you can do a 20, 25 fish day. It happens every year for 2 or 3 days in October, November, somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it kind of turns into the 4 or 5 fish or
It
December.
happens with like the October swell sometimes too in the surf, and it's
Yep.
now become like a November swell kind of. Yeah,
Yep, absolutely. Yep. But then the pickle dish tournament, you put me on the spot. I can't even remember the name of one of my favorite tournaments.
With the Jupiter?
No, the old one there. The
silver sailfish?
Silver, thank you. Yep, we've had quite a bit of success there, and I love the history of the event. It's the oldest running billfish tournament in the U.S. and had the good fortune of winning it, and had a second and a third, and Skipper beat me one time. Skip ditches me, and I miss having that guy on the boat. Such a great personality and such an extraordinary fisherman, but
yeah, he's
where he should be.
Yeah,
he's where he should be running boats for sure. But I miss him. It's so fun having. But anyway, he beat me. He won that. It was us, the 305 guys, also who might be my closest rivalry is Nick there down in Miami. From day one, he was running Silent Hunter. No, it wasn't Silent Hunter. Those are the Keys guys. He was running a boat down in Miami when I was running my boat, my 32, when I was getting some free entries and get to play in the sailfish stuff. And then when I was running Robbie Buckley's boat there a little bit, it was unbelievable how often that guy would beat me by one fish or something.
How long ago was this?
Years back, 2010.
This is when you had the boat with like the no tower and
no T-top. Yeah, well, that was my boat.
Yeah.
I never had a T-top on anything until I started charter fishing. Did we have a T-top on the one we won the Mayor's Cup in? 08? No, that was a topless boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember seeing you guys out on the water, always wearing the big straw hats and everything because you had
the wind ain't blowing.
Yeah.
That was my guys. I just went out and got sunburned.
So we got tournament season coming up.
Yeah.
All right. We got Connected by Water, tournament report, the monthly, whatever we decide to name this thing, featuring Captain Art Sapp coming up. So you're going to see more of you. We're going to see more of you on this show, which we're so excited about. And a lot of good things coming. We're going to probably during that tournament report have some updates on this Atlantic Fisheries Council stuff. If there's any news, we can bring up any latest happenings. So
I'll start bringing my notes too, because during the course of the thing,
because I'd like to make this also kind of like a source or place where people can come for updates on stuff like that too, which I think would be beneficial to everybody, just to rather than expecting people to read. William Randolph Hearst, the great newspaper guy, said the one thing I've learned in all my time here in the newspaper business is people don't like to read.
It's hard, man.
Everyone likes pictures.
Yeah.
So we're going to probably bring that to people in broadcast format.
Yep. If I may, real quick, while we were talking earlier, we were talking about recreational reporting. There's the first step in that game is an app called My Fish Counts, you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Well, it's a very easy place to
My Fish Counts?
My Fish Counts, yep.
Okay.
Run by the South Atlantic Fisheries Management Council, but going to be taken over by another entity of some kind. I don't know for sure how or who, but you actually make your reports. You tell them exactly what you saw, what you caught. No different than what you're doing on social media already, but this actually helps. This counts. This matters. And I'm a huge proponent of that and hopeful that we can get some people to start using the thing.
Okay. So My Fish Counts.
Yeah, this will be actual factual science. What's actually being taken out of the ocean.
So this is something people can do.
Right.
This is we're asking for. What can people do? All right. So this is a big thing.
It's not the presumptive science.
Yeah, and we can post about this. I want to post it. Like when we post up this show, we'll post up this show. But I want to do a separate post about this because I think this is important. Break out the phone. Because I want to do a separate post about this, and because this is actually really important. I'm glad you're bringing this up again. It's my bad. I forgot to bring that up again.
Yeah. All right. Where are you? My Fish Counts. There it is. See it? I don't know where all the cameras are.
I'll pull it up.
Yeah,
I'll do a screen grab and stuff.
Bring it up.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it's just this My Fish Counts, and you see start a new trip, and you can see some of my history on here. Profile trips. There you go.
Your history. So you haven't crashed this app yet?
Well, no.
See, so all right, so none of you guys are going to crash it. No, Art hasn't crashed it.
No. I've only been using it about a year now, and I admittedly got frustrated, not with the app, but with the process at one point.
Yep.
And quit for about 2 months or so, and then I have dove back in, and it's the right thing to do. It's the only thing that is going to save us from, for a vulgar and lack of a better term, bullshit science that has been controlling recreational and even to some degree commercial fishing forever.
This is really great.
Yeah. And the thing is commercial fishermen are held to such a stringent laws, or every fish they catch shows up in their reports, has to.
Right.
And so it's real science that is governing commercial fishing right now. And yet their counterpart in recreational fishing, there's no real numbers. There's no real science. So that obviously creates some animosity. That animosity's got to go away, because those same environmentalists we were talking about, that's the fight.
Right.
They
want things to the extreme.
Yes. Commercial fishermen and recreational fishermen, if we can't find a way to get together and get along,
right,
we're going to lose everything to the enviros. They've got more money and more clout in government than we do, truth be told. And because some of their desires are so extreme and so ridiculous that they're not able to push them through just yet, but give them too much time while we continue to bicker over here on the sides between us, and we will lose.
Well, that's what we were saying. We were talking about before the show. Is I really don't talk politics on the show unless it has something to do with clean water and
our community.
Because there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do things, right? And I truly believe that the outdoorsmen and the conservationists and us all are doing it the right way, because we are the ones.
Majority.
The majority.
Vast majority.
You're the vast majority, because we're the ones that are out there, living in it and dealing with it.
More than making a living.
Yeah.
More than making a living, living it. Not, making a living, surviving, making the money part, you got to do it just to survive, but the release, the escape is in the ocean for us. And I think that is far more important. The passion, far more important than even paying your mortgage, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree with you. You might not see this as much as I do, or at least this kind of contrasting effect, because you're out on the water a hell of a lot more than I am.
300 days a year.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about. But because I'm out I'm a little close to the Everglades here, and I'm running a full-time studio, and you know what I mean, and it's
creating some unbelievable artwork.
Thank you, sir. I'm pulling about 60 hours a week in this place, so I don't get out to the water as much as we're going to try to change that in the coming year, because we're at a spot in the studio now where it's like, okay, Dennis needs to get out on the water more than he has in the past couple of years, because building this was important. But when I do get out there, you get reminded of things. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah, that's, and I always bring that back to the studio with me, and I create a better painting with it, and it's very inspiring to me from that way. It's like, oh yeah, almost forgot about the way that felt or smelt or felt or looked or felt, whatever.
I so wish I had that ability, dude. I don't know how you guys do it.
But my point is this, like, if you're an environmentalist, quote unquote, right? But you never are out there. Right. And all you're doing is walking down the street with a poster in your hand, and you're whining and complaining about something. It's like, well, maybe you don't know what the deal is.
It's not a maybe, Dennis.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just being nice.
I know, I'm not.
Maybe
they don't know.
You don't know what these guys are dealing with. On the guys are out there 300 days a year on the water.
That's the most aggravating thing about this council. The scientists keep telling us we don't know. That's not a dusky shark. That's not a sandbar shark.
Yeah,
guys. When was the last time you physically saw a dusky shark or a sandbar shark? Get out of your office and come look at them with us. Look at my videos.
Yeah.
That's a one-time event. It's every time event, guys. They don't believe you for a second.
I'm the one reeling up my goggle eyes so it doesn't get hit by a hammerhead, and then dropping it down like way too often now.
Yeah, or watching the sandbar shark smoke 80% of the fish you hook.
Right. I'm the one bringing up fish heads.
Yeah. If even that, I mean, they get the whole freaking thing. And charter anglers are not always the best. Makes it that much harder for them. They'll see a nice mahi eat a kite bait, or they'll see a big king or a blackfin tuna. That might be the only time they get to see them, because sharks going to eat them awfully frequently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's everywhere, dude. It's Key West to North Carolina, and the science guys just don't know. Not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening, dude. We video it. We prove it.
Take them fishing.
They won't get on a boat. We're too busy in our office.
They get seasick.
At one point in their life, they did have the intention and had good intentions, but now they're so stuck in their office and so stuck with their numbers and their beliefs that they're right and nobody else is.
Yeah.
Guys, experience counts more for education. If you physically see it, it happened.
Well, let's name some organizations that people can pay attention to. IGFA is a good one. Billfish Foundation is a good one. The CCA is a good one.
Yeah.
What other organizations or things that people can pay attention to that could probably be on the right side?
Keep America Fishing.
Keep America Fishing.
And most of everything we're talking about is the recreational side of it. There are several commercial organizations. What the heck? There's so many acronyms in my head now from all this game that I've been playing over the last year, and I'm just not smart enough to keep up with them all. But there are several commercial organizations that
we'll flash some up here on the screen here.
I've got
that's fine.
Well,
John will flash them up on the screen here. You'll remember them later. We'll put them up right
Absolutely. Now. And being involved in any of that, and then some of them everybody's to some degree agenda driven. All these organizations are to some degree, good, bad, indifferent. But if you study up on all of it as much as you can, as much as your brain will allow you to before the ADD fully kicks in or life kicks in with the kids and everything else. But just being involved, dude. Get involved and talk and try to learn and open-minded. Please don't be a brick and not be willing to listen at all and potentially learn something. So many people develop an opinion and won't sway. I'm not smart enough to have an opinion that's that solid.
Yeah.
Talk to me with something that makes sense and show me some proof and I'll listen and hopefully maybe work with you towards it. And I'd like to see more willingness. We're in such polarizing times right now that
for sure.
Once an opinion's developed, it's so hard to sway anybody. Well, the more involved you are, the more solid your opinion can be, I think.
Yeah, and that's another reason why we don't really get so involved in politics because, it's like people get so entrenched in that. I said this is out there now. I'm fighting a battle.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got to stick to my guns, and I can't lose. And that's horrible.
Yeah, that's not my place either.
Captains for Clean Water is probably another good organization.
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. And not a group that I'm terribly familiar with because it's so much West Coast and shallow water stuff that. But I love what they're doing.
Yeah, more inshore for sure.
So, I just want to see a day where I don't see plastic littering the ocean everywhere and freaking Mylar balloons everywhere. And
no plastic, no balloons. We want to see that Everglades flowing. That's going to benefit everybody. We want to see some deer come back into the Everglades, and we want to see more panthers, and we want to see more birds. And so we just want to see more to bring the noise. We just want to see that area thrive.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You know what I mean?
I say what we want to see is panthers more spread through the area. I guess because where they are, they're in extreme abundance.
Right. Well, they're getting kind of cornered, but a little bit, but. So this week is the boat show, Fort Lauderdale boat show. So we're in boat show season now officially.
Absolutely. Starts at, the best thing about this is starts the sailfish season.
That's right.
Shortly after boat show.
Yep.
But we've been, I work, so Jim Steele, very important part of my fishing crew in the tournaments and everything. He helps to finance it, and he's an extraordinarily good angler. He's my right short guy on the sailfish tournaments, and he fishes the flat side and the meat fish stuff. But
love Jim.
Yeah, I love the guy. Quickest wit I think I know. I don't even try to.
Jim's one of the coolest, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. But anyway, he needs some help during the Lauderdale Boat Show pushing those yachts in. And I've had the good or bad, I don't know, of being with him doing it since the very beginning now. I think 6 years we've been doing it together since he first got hired on to do it. Another company had it before him and was not very successful from what I understand with it. And understandably so, because it is not easy, dude. It's stressful.
I wouldn't want to do it.
Dude, the current and the wind. We totally block the Intracoastal Waterway, stop the water up like a dam from time to time with these giant yachts. It's amazing. The amount, literally, when you get it pushed in, the water just surges and blows by. Never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
So the first year we're doing it, none of us had ever done it, period. None of the tug, he's got the best equipment in the industry by far, but none of the tug captains had ever done it. And you're communicating with guys that don't necessarily speak English even, trying to get 150, 200 foot, 250 foot, or even a couple of 300 footers.
Yeah, because you're getting international boats from all over the place.
All over the world. Yeah, they all come to Lauderdale. Trying to get them in between these giant steel I-beams that are plugged into the ground that might not be more than 2 feet wider than the boat. Literally, you got a foot on each side of these things. Trying to get them in these, and even some of them trying to do it without assistance at all. Like you'd be getting, push boats, trying to push these yachts in, and everything goes finally. You look over, and there's a guy crashing into I-beams everywhere, 100 yards from you. Dude, wait, please.
Right.
I mean, we got boats to help, and, maybe we're not the greatest in the world at it yet, but at least we're not crashing you.
Right.
See everybody, we steam over there, and I got hung up in one where I'm trying to save a guy in a 190-plus foot giant speaking French. Don't have the slightest idea what this guy's saying to me at all, but I can see he's crashing, and it's bad, and this is my second day ever running a tugboat, and I loop in there, and I get to pushing, and I'm going to save this guy, and oh, shit, I can't stop him. Current got him, and here comes the dock line, and Jim's just screaming, dude, don't worry about the boat. Get out of there. You're going to die. There's no doubt you're going to die. And somehow he gets wedged on another boat, and finally the guy starts to try to speak a little bit, and he's yelling, do your job, the yacht captain is. Well, Cap.
To you?
Yeah. After Cap, you should have asked us to help you do your job.
Has he hired you yet?
No, we're helping the boat show. There's no hire at all.
Yeah.
So you should have done, let us know that you needed help doing your job prior to you just crashing into everything, and then we come try to save you. So that starts the learning process through the whole deal. And then to this year, we had one boat try to go in by itself. Most everybody waits for us now, and there's one little 6-inch mark on one yacht over there through the entire build-in. The transition and the education that we got and the yacht captains got and the confidence that they developed in what I believe to be the best yacht towing company that has ever existed anywhere in the world. I mean, listen to these yacht captains talk, dude, they're God bless steel towing. You hear it 1,000 times over through the course of the show. It's amazing the reputation that they've developed loading these multi-million-dollar monsters. But it's a year-round thing. The guys towing them up and down the river. I've done a few of those jobs with them.
Yeah.
Dude, the stress level those guys live under, those tug captains.
Well, that's the thing.
But they don't crash.
That's the thing. It's like I see what Jim does, and I'm in awe of that because I'm like, well, first of all, where do you begin?
Yeah.
Right.
Where do you learn that?
Yeah. And then second of all, like the liability, what you're responsible for. Like those boats are not cheap.
No. If your lines are on them, they're yours. It's your responsibility. If your lines are tied to those boats, your responsibility.
I wouldn't want to do it.
No, it's fun though. It's exciting as hell. Again, you get that little bit of a rush, that adrenaline rush. But that brings us into it's Lauderdale Boat Show time, dude. The industry is screaming right now.
Yeah.
Motor manufacturers can't build motors fast enough. Mercury is, in my opinion, the greatest motor manufacturer that's ever existed. It's got a 450, which I get to run a 39 SeaVee with Trip 450 Mercury Verados on it. At this show for sea trials. I'm so excited. Wow. I hope to be my next boat I build to be a triple boat with power like that and my big tower. Because that much cleaner water to the props, trip over quad.
Right.
The boat rides better. It performs better. I'm so excited with the motor manufacturers creating this kind of power now that didn't exist in the past.
It's really kind of mind-boggling. What's going through the industry right now. Like even like how the fact that like a boat of your size is now becoming more and more common over the years, which was never really like when you did like a 39 SeaVee, it's like what? That's a huge center console, and now you got Joey running around and Skip driving the big 53 swing yost, and
they built a 65.
Yeah.
That
and
boat
not
is
the only
They
one.
call that an Estrella or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's but
it's a good looking boat too. That 65.
Good looking boat. But it's it's crazy how the industry has blown up, and it's going to be on full display at the boat show because that's what was like the world's largest or most diverse boat show or something. What's the
largest
title?
in-water boat show in the world.
Okay,
and in the convention center in that air conditioning, which hottest October I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but they've got more center consoles and more of the stuff that I love to see in that convention center. Outboard motors and center consoles, and the majority of the tackle and that sort of stuff are over in the tents, also air conditioned over Bahia Mar area. Giant, but the amount of yachts that are on display, I don't think there's anywhere in the world. The Mediterranean can kiss my grits. They ain't got shit on Lauderdale right now.
No, not at all. I love seeing it by water too.
It's amazing.
You're just trying to driving through there. We usually do that every year. We just like
do yourself a favor Sunday afternoon because it closes on Sundays now. No longer go to Mondays. Sunday afternoon around 5 o'clock.
Stay out of the way.
No, get in there. Get in there and listen to it. All the horns. They blow the horns off. It's deafening. The water shimmies from the air getting released. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I video it every year. I go live and do because I'm in there helping them getting ready to get those tugs out of there. And it's get those yachts out. It's a mad rush too.
Yeah, no, we got to check that out. I mean, we'll record this on a Tuesday, but we're going to be airing it on Thursday. So when people see this, it's going to be the Thursday of the show.
Yep, second day of the show.
Yep, second day of the show. So I'm hoping to get in there on Wednesday, which would be technically yesterday if you're listening to the show now.
Well, that's a great day too because it's quiet.
Yeah, I like that's what I'm saying. If I can
day.
just I can go run around and shake all the hands and see all the people I need to see and stuff like that. But so you're going to be doing a lot of that though.
We're doing a lot of sea trials, and much of Wednesday I'll spend at the show there in the convention center. I don't really have time to get over to BMR because we do get a few sea trials there Wednesday, but I'll be there all 5 days doing the boat show thing.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I mean, it's I don't think people understand really what that does for our economy every year.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's really huge. It is one of the world's largest scenes every year. We're fortunate to have it. It is one of the things that puts us on the map in the boating and yachting community, whether it's the Fort Lauderdale touts itself as we say the yachting capital of the world, or that's their self-proclaimed title. But it is such a phenomenon of a circumstance, and it's beautiful to see.
Oh yeah. And the wealth being on display like that is extraordinary. It's unbelievable. You can't even believe that there's that much money in the world to have that many mega yachts floating in the amount of people who are working on these things. There's 30 and 40 people on every one of these yachts,
right,
getting paid pretty handsomely.
They're buildings.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're buildings on water. They're for sure.
And
the
they
hotels
all shine like a ruby.
They're all gorgeous.
The amount of effort that they put into these things.
Yep.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's hard to keep my boat waxed.
Yeah.
It's 40 feet long. These things are 200 feet long. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's insane to think about and people want to complain about it at all. It's like, well, how many people are being employed there, and it's an economy driver.
Oh, without a doubt. And frequently these are kids getting life experiences that the majority of us don't get to travel much.
Right.
It's expensive to travel far and in the way that wealthy people travel. Well, work on somebody's boat and you're traveling, getting life experiences that there's no other way to get for the majority of the population. So it's more than just a financial gain for these kids. And I say kids, I mean, you see people our age working on these boats. Mm-hmm. They spend lives working on them. I see nothing but a positive out of it. Environmentally damaging, well, there's a trade-off. You got to live too.
Yeah, there's a trade-off, but I mean, listen, we're set up for it.
Yeah, we are.
That's what the whole Port Everglades and that whole area, and how wide the intercoastal is up there.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. It's built for it. Yep. So there's no worries there. I think,
other than the current. Oh my God, the current.
Yeah,
it's tough, dude. The inbound, especially up in the Las Olas area, the inbound current's not. It's the same speed, but it works north-south, where the outbound, it gets up in that basin. Mm-hmm. And generally you don't put the giants up there, but you put some 100-plus footers up there, and they catch so much water, and it's coming towards the west, and nobody believes you when you say, hey, you're going to get set to the west. Well, it's outbound tide. How am I going to get set to the south?
Yeah.
There's a basin. Trust me, and then wham.
It's going to eddy up. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yep. It's an interesting time of year because you got, it really... To me, it's a signifier of everything changes.
Yep.
Because right around October, you could start sensing the weather shifting.
End of hurricane season.
Yeah, the end of hurricane season, the weather shifts. Yep. And then we got Halloween, and the holiday season starts, and then boat show, and it's like really the launch of our
sailfish
peak season. And then that's what I was going to get into. And then you get into sailfish. And then
that's really all that matters.
Then everything really does change, so which you truly are addicted to.
Oh, yeah. So totally addicted to sailfish.
Yeah. So exciting time for the boat show. Exciting time for South Florida. Tournament season kicking up. Holiday season kicking up.
You can have those things.
That's all right. That's all right. Listen, I get into it's fun.
Oh, it's fun. I've got a daughter, 9-year-old daughter. She loves it. It's such a pain in the ass.
It's a pain. It's a pain. Yeah, it's I used to look forward to Christmas and all this stuff. Now it's like I got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and it's just work.
Yeah, I think the last time I looked forward to it, I was 6. It's a pain.
Yeah,
but whatever. I love Thanksgiving.
I do too.
I love food. Yep. Family gets together, hang out.
Yep.
That's selfish. I don't have to buy anybody anything other. Maybe we go on a trip or something. But
hang out, watch some football.
Yep.
Even take it easy. For
love
sure.
It.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure.
Right, and we're going to have you on a lot more. And with our tournament report coming up, we don't know what we're going to call it yet. Yep. We're going to call it something. We're going to have
some
people
artistic brain to it.
Put my artistic brain to it. We'll design a logo. We'll give it a name. We'll give it a mark, and we'll make it look beautiful. So
I love it.
Captain Art Sapp, I want to thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure, my friend.
Right? Your ego is not your amigo. Do your best and let God do the rest. Always remember to eat, drink, and be local. And always remember that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we are always connected by water.
Love this community.
Love it.